What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new episode of the Kevysie podcast. I am your host, Kevin Davis. I am an entrepreneur, creator, comic writer, a go-giver, and occasionally I get yelled at for not sleeping because I work a lot. But that's part of the job as creating. But today's guest is new to the show, and we actually been friends for a while across social media. So please welcome Mr. John Holland. And it would be cool if he's related to Tom Holland, but I don't know. But he can explain if he is.
That would be cool, but unfortunately not.
Ah, darn it. Oh man,
Yeah,
but how you doing, man?
I am fine. How are you, sir? I'm glad to be here.
Man, I'm all right. Can't complain. Just tired, but I'm excited
Yeah,
for new projects and just living life, man.
yeah.
And dude, I love your shirt, by the way.
Well, thank you.
Diebold Comics. That is such a creative name. Like
Oh,
I thought at
yeah.
first, I thought it said Die Hard Comics. I was like, oh, Die Hard.
Yeah, I
But
put
yeah,
I put my logo on a lot of stuff. I've got it on a shirt. I've got it on
heck yeah,
let me show you
heck yeah,
a
dude.
backpack.
Oh yes,
I
yes.
did
I
it
do
like
the
anything I
exact
could,
same thing.
I felt it kind of made it look more like I looked a little more professional, if I had the Diebold logo on stuff. So I did it on
Yeah.
that. I've did it on a whole bunch of different things throughout the just to do it. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, I've got a
I do
couple of
this.
shirts. I've got this. I've got one with my skull on it. I've got
Oh
whole
yes.
different types of shirts. Just to kind of I sell them too. So don't sell a lot of them, but I make a few
Hey, it's
sales here and
there.
there, and a T-shirt
Heck
sale
yeah.
trumps my comic book sale big time.
Man, heck yeah, I do the exact same thing. I mean, I don't have my logo shirt on right now because I have to wash it. But yeah, I have it on my shirt. I have a jacket. I have joggers. I make my own shoes too, and my own
Wow.
backpack.
See, I haven't
Yeah,
did
and my
that.
backpacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I think it's
I.
cool, you have this like, when I go to conventions, I can walk around and I'm, a walking
Hmm.
billboard for my company. So,
Exactly.
it's just
Exactly.
all
That's how
little things like
you
that I
gotta
think
market
help.
it.
Yeah.
You gotta market it. Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And I started doing shoes because I also have my own clothing brand that I'm working
Oh,
on.
okay, cool.
I actually put out my shoes on my comic on my publishing website at kevysie.com. You can actually see my shoes that's up there now.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, but at some point I'm launch my retail brand. I'm gonna transition the shoes to my retail website so that you know they're separate from my publishing company. I just have them up here
Yeah.
just to show you that I have these right now.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
But yeah, I do shoes. I do those what's the thing? Tumblers.
Yeah. Oh,
Those
I have
yeah.
one of those too with Diebold on it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
Like you said, you got to market. That's, I mean,
heck yeah. Heck yeah,
it's
dude.
the only way to get out there.
Oh yeah. So like I do merchandise like based on my comics. On
Hmm.
my publishing website, I didn't have merchandise outside of my comics. They're a whole different thing. So I have a separate retail company that I plan to start either like next year or so. I call it Kevylis Worldwide, coming
Hmm.
soon. Each design is like a message of like mental health and like some horror anime uh,
Okay.
style art.
Yeah.
It's like, but each design has a message of something, whatever you're going through, it's going to be okay,
Okay.
basically.
That's pretty cool. That's
And
pretty
so
cool.
I know one of them it has like how did I do it? I say everything to my artist. Once it gets out my brain, it gets out my brain. Well, I know one design is just like I have like I think it was like a hand pointing up like this or something like that.
Hmm.
Basically like it's saying look up to the sky and just breathe,
Yeah.
basically in a way.
Yeah.
Like just go outside, just breathe and just get some air. Let your thoughts just flow
Yeah.
and just clear your head
Yeah.
and
That's
stuff
pretty
like
cool.
that. And then of course I have some horror. All of it's a mix of horror because I'm a horror writer, so of course I have to do horror.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm gonna have like some skull designs, but I have a message of saying like um the beauty within you, even as a skull.
Hmm.
Like you look evil, but you have beauty around you.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I do a
Those are
lot of
that's
different
pretty
things,
cool.
man. Yeah. enough of me yapping right now. Tell us about you, man. Tell us about you, man. I know you have your comic out on Fund My Comic. I call shoot,
Kimi.
Akemi. Akimi,
Kimi.
Jesus Christ, I was at it. Akimi,
Yeah.
tell us about it. What made you start with the story, and what inspired you to bring the story to life?
The inspiration for it actually goes back to, I don't know if you're familiar with Antarctic Press, and they did a
I
comic
am.
years ago, Warrior Nun.
Yep, I love that. I
Uh,
love Warrior Nun.
yeah,
Yes,
so
yes, heck yes.
I did some work with Ben, at Antarctica Press before. He's published a few things from me, and he had made, he basically sold Warrior Nun to the studio, so he couldn't do any more Warrior Nuns. But he made a post more recent that he was kind of like thinking of trying to do something similar to Warrior Nun, but not Warrior Nun. And it got me thinking. I kind of like, I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. Now, I've never read Warrior Nun. I never saw the TV show. And at first, I started looking for it to see if I could find some. But then I thought, well, no, I don't want to. I don't want to have any preconceived notions. I want to create a character that has nothing to do with Warrior Nun because
Well,
it's not Warrior Nun.
well, I'm just gonna say I've seen both. I recommend just read the comic. Don't even bother with the Netflix show. Just I just
No.
say that. So just read the
But
comic.
so
So
that
yeah.
created the emphasis to start to write the script. So basically, I just created a character that becomes wears a nun outfit that fights evil. Uh,
Mm,
so
nice.
she's a 16-year-old girl. And it starts. She comes from Japan. She was her mom was an American. Went to Japan. Her husband, the father met the mom. They married, and the father's evil. He's like the big evil warlord in Japan.
Uh-oh.
So
Always
eventually,
the father. Yeah.
yeah. Eventually, the mom had to, was able to escape to the U.S. with her daughter, and there's an organization called the Order of Innocent Blood, which is kind of like a offshoot from the church that trains all these young girls to fight monsters and demons and things like that. So that's kind of the basic, in a nutshell. And so, Akimi is now part of this group that's fighting the evil and stuff. So, and
Mhm.
she's got, it's going to be, it's a lot of monsters, a lot of demons, a lot of fighting. The artist on this, Jorge, is
I'm sold
awesome.
already. You
Oh,
got me at monsters. I'm sold already.
and
And it's on
but
Fund
it's
My
also going to,
Comic.
kind
Link
of
in the description, guys.
do what? I'm sorry,
I was
but
just letting everybody know that your Fund My Comic is in the link in the description. That's all.
okay, but part of it's going to also be like, Akimi came, when she was in Japan, she was raised in a completely different religion. She was raised as Shinto. Now she's coming to America, and in this group, they're basically part of the Catholic Church. So they're pushing their religion
Mm,
on her, and she's kind of in between. She
oh
doesn't
boy.
know which way to go, too. So there's going to be some subtext to this, too, besides just a lot of fighting and cool artwork. There's going to be a little subtext to it underneath everything.
I, it's always interesting when I read stuff with religion in it because every time I read something about religion, I learn something new. And I
Yeah,
always be curious and wonder, like, is this real? Like, is this really their belief? Because especially when it's written so very good, it feels so real. And
yeah,
I go researching myself, and like I learned about so many religions, from Christianity to Muslim to Buddhism, to Judaism, I believe it's called. I don't want to disrespect anybody. I'm sorry, I suck at names,
yeah.
but I learned so much stuff about it, and I was like, and and it's very interesting, especially in a horror aspect when you write about religion. And I'm curious that when you was writing the story, especially including religion, are you like a religious person that was like personal ties to you when you was writing the
No,
story?
no. Actually,
Oh,
I'm a very, I'm as far from being a religious person as possible. I think, but and that
interesting.
kind of was the not a goal, but kind of, it made me. because I don't want to, I mean, it's easy to make, the religious side the bad guys, say, oh, this is terrible, this
Yeah,
is, but so I'm trying to write it, in a sympathetic point of view, I mean, so, even though I'm not really a religious person, I'm showing these, like the nuns that control this, the Order of Innocent Blood. They're not going to be 100% good because nobody's 100% good, but they
that's
are
true.
good guys. They have the welfare of their girls underneath them. They care about their girls, but they also care about saving the world from the monsters and the demons and so on.
Mm.
But so it gave me an incentive to it'd been easy for me to write, oh, these are the bad guys, and just make them evil,
Oh
and
yeah, oh yeah.
making these girls go out to fight these bad the demons or whatnot. So
Hmm.
it's I'm working to create a sympathetic look for them, or sympathy, make them you feel sympathy for them, or not sympathy, but at least you're on their side more so.
Watch and as I didn't grow up in a religious household. We always said we're always more spiritual
Hmm.
because we always believe that religion divides people, and we're about bringing people together.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand what that means. So when people
Oh,
ask, "Are you a
oh yeah.
Christian?" I was like, "Yes." I was like, "Yes, I'm a Christian," because I'm like, I don't like explaining what I actually mean when I say I'm spiritual. It's like not everyone has that mindset to actually understand it. So I was like, if you
Yeah.
ask me, I'm a Christian. Yes, I'm a Christian, but I'm not religious. I was like, but then again, then that's on the flip side. Every time I say that, I get the disrespectful side of people. Tell me like, you say you're Christian, but you're not religious. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
This is why I don't talk about religion because of
Yeah.
stuff like this. And I was like, people sometimes like their whole entire personality into this religion stuff, and it
Yes,
really
definitely.
just was like you wonder why people don't like talking about it because you get so disrespectful for no reason. I was like, y'all
Yeah.
want to throw the Bible in people's faces, acting like you're so holy, but then again, you're turning around cussing people out. I was like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
like
I
you,
could.
I'm like,
We could. We could end up
you want to
making the
speak the
pod.
scripture. Wait, sorry, say that one more time.
No, I was gonna say we could make this whole podcast about a whole. How bad. And real easy.
Yeah, we can. Look, my podcast. I'm open to talk about anything and everything. That's why I made this so we have a conversation, just have fun
Yeah.
and just talk. That's why I don't follow no type of script or anything.
Yeah.
And dude, I tell you, I'm like on my social medias, I get so many different type of supporters or followers or however you want to name them.
Yeah.
I was like, I see, especially with like this politics going on. I was like, okay, I'm on the wrong side of social media. Can we go back to the nerd side and have fun?
Yeah.
I was like, cause
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not. I tell people, I make this joke, but it's not a joke anymore. Matt Knowles, from Asymmetry Creations. I buy his books. I made a post. I said, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm a misfit because I'm a fan of Matt Nolan's book. So I was like, I'm a misfit. I don't go by any. I'm not associated with any type of party. I am a misfit for life, and I actually mean
Yeah.
that. It turned out as a joke, but I actually mean it. I am a misfit. Um, but yeah, I was like, don't act. I'm like, even though I know exactly what's going on, don't ask me who I'm affiliated with because I'm affiliated with nobody. I'm affiliated with myself. So, and that's why you don't see me post about certain stuff because I'm like, I like to keep a light, positive side on my social media, but I will speak on stuff like for at least make a post that let you know I acknowledge this and I know what's going on. But then again, but also I also want to be like that. I don't want to be. I don't want to. I get too many arguments going on in comment sections, and it really messes with your mental. And I don't have time for that. I was like, yes, I know what's going on, but I don't want to be talking about it 24/7. I was like, I have a business to run. I'm creating stories that I want to inspire people to read. And I like to tell people, I'm like, get off social media and go, like, people's like, go touch grass. Like, good
Yeah.
Lord, Jesus Christ. And I was like, ugh, Jesus, man, y'all need help for real. I was like, I'm like, you may be a believer or not. I was like, but go find Jesus because you need him very badly. Like, just Jesus Christ. But yeah, Akimi, I said it right? That's it, right? That time?
Hakimi.
Yes,
Yeah.
I said it right.
Yeah.
Akimi.
Yeah.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah. I need people
um,
to go to the site, and so far we have no backers yet. Today's our second day, so we haven't
right.
got any backers. Yeah.
Oh man, you guys heard the boss, man. Go to
So
Fund My Comic, back Akimi. The book looks
yeah.
freaking
So
amazing. I had the pleasure of actually reading some of the pages you sent me, and I freaking loved it.
awesome.
The
Thank
story is
you.
freaking beautiful. I think the art is so. I think the art kind of bring like some old school vibes to it a bit too. And dude, amazing story from the parts I got to see. Thank you for
Oh
letting me
yeah.
read it.
So
And find my comic, Akimi, it's in the link in this video, guys. Go back it, go post it, go share it, and just let's get this funded, man, and get this book to printing so we can get some awesome storytelling in this world because we need some originality.
yeah. Well, we're already working on the
And
second issue too. So I mean, the plan
well,
is to
dang,
have the
look
second
at that.
issue done.
Oh
We're
my God,
close to
heck
being
yes,
done
dude.
when the first issue by the time the campaign's over, so we can just go right into another campaign to have the second issue. So we can kind of
Let's
you
freaking
know
go.
we're looking at hopefully like the first four issues. If we can get them out like every other month or so, that would give people an incentive to pick it up because they're not having to wait years between issues. I mean, I've done that before where I've put out a book and it took me 6 months to put out the second book. And you kind of lose your momentum when you do things like that. If we can keep it out on a best, bi-monthly schedule, I think that would, by the time we get to the third issue, people are going to, have the first two issues and they know we're going to be coming out on, pretty much on time. So that's kind of the
Hmm.
plan. We'll see what happens. It's a
Hmm.
little freaked me out. When nobody has went on the page yet and backed it. So I know though, Fund My Comics doesn't have the reach that a Kickstarter does. So Kickstarter is a lot bigger
Yeah.
organization. They have a lot of people that just scroll through Kickstarter and buy stuff off of
Hmm.
that. So Fund My Comics doesn't have quite that reach, but I wanted to try something different because in the next 3 or 4 months, I've got this one coming out. In the next month or so, I'm doing a Zoop because I wanted to try Zoop, and then when that's over, I'm actually going back to Kickstarter and doing a different comic on Kickstarter. So I got like three things, coming out in the next 3 to 4 months, and then plus,
Heck yeah, dude.
the next issue of Akimi will be in there somewhere too. So there's a lot of
Heck yeah, dude.
funding coming up, and I kind of wanted to try
Yeah.
different,
Oh yeah.
because there's Fund My Comics, there's Zoop. I
It's
forgot about
so many
Indiegogo,
platforms.
so I may try that too. But I just want to try some different sources and see how different some of these different crowdfunders work. I've did
Yeah.
Kickstarter before, and like I said, I've got another one coming up with Kickstarter once we finish it because I'm not doing any books until they're at least 90%, if not 100% done. Because I don't want to be scrolling around trying to get something
Yeah.
finished long after the Kickstarter.
Yeah. I did Indiegogo for my very first comic Arcfire back in 2024. Because I was terrified of Kickstarter, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it took me
But
forever to do a
yeah,
Kickstarter because I was scared to death of it.
man. But I was able to get funded on Indiegogo for my first Arcfire. This is actually the painting of Arcfire by my friend. That she made a painting of him.
Oh, okay,
That's actually the cover of issue one.
okay,
That
cool.
she actually made a painting of. And then issue two I brought out in 2025. I actually did a Kickstarter. And my very first Kickstarter actually funded. Dude, when I tell you it was nerve-wracking, I was terrified out of my mind. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I understand it. Like I have a Fund My Comic as well. I think I got a little bit of backing when I put Arclight issue one on. for my comic after I moved it from when Indiegogo ended. I moved it to fund my comic, and then I moved it to my own website at kevysie.com. So you find
Hmm.
all my stuff at kevysie.com. But yeah, and now my new Kickstarter for my next comic is called Halloween. That actually drops on tomorrow, Friday the 13th, when I did not
Okay.
know it was Friday the 13th until somebody told me it was Friday the 13th.
Uh,
And like I'm like I literally just chose a date, and somebody's like, dude, that's actually perfect because that's Friday the 13th. I was like, wait, are
yeah.
you serious? He's like, yeah, look at your calendar. I was like, wait a minute. I did not freaking realize that was Friday the 13th. And yes, I was on a show yesterday at the Written Wit, and they asked me like, was that planned? I was like, it was not planned. I did not know it was Friday the 13th when I'm dropping this horror comic. And I'm like, it was legit
You should have
just it
said
was like,
like, of course it was planned. What do you think?
but it was I should have done that, but it was just still baffled to me that it was Friday the 13th without me
Yeah.
noticing. So I didn't even have time to. I'm like, yes, it was totally planned. It was totally planned. I was like, no, it actually wasn't. I did not realize it. But yeah, Halloween, Friday the 13th. It's this story is like one of my hardest stories I've ever been ever have done so far because I have so many like the host said, yeah, we really have I have so many elements like story points in this story that I'll do because it's not just a slasher. It's like part slasher, supernatural, psychological, and mystery and like murder mystery type of
Hmm.
story.
Cool.
And because Halloween is it's like two clown killers. They're going around social media finding people to kill. That's at random and just finding their next victims. And the backstory of it, the original killers are called the duplicate killers named Evan and Ethan. They were twin brothers wearing the same exact clown suit because they're twin brothers. Doing this the same thing, but they've been dead for like decades in the story. And so
Clues
it's
you?
like the question is, who are these two new clowns, and are they related to Ethan and Evan, or is this like some type of cult that no one knows about yet, or is there something more sinister that meets the eye?
I
So
think
yeah,
I lost you there for a second.
yeah. What part did you not did you miss?
I just when you were talking, I just my internet connection just went out for a minute. Not even a minute, for a few seconds.
Snap. Okay. Yeah, Wi-Fi is weird.
Yeah,
But I was
I've been having problems with my internet. I'm sorry, my dog. Whenever I get on a podcast, my dog wants to be on top of me. Any other time when I'm in here, she's laying on the floor or something. But now she's got to be like, and she just got her ball. So if you hear squeaking, that's what she's got. I had it up out of her reach, I
gotcha.
thought.
Oh my God. Well, I was just saying that my comic Halloween is about two clown killers that's going around social media killing people and find like random people just to make their victim.
Hmm.
And but the backstory of Halloween, there's two twin brothers named Ethan and Evan. They call themselves the duplicate killers,
Hmm.
wearing the same exact clown costumes, full fledged. But the thing is, Ethan and Evan have been dead for decades. And so now in Halloween, there's two new killers, but this time these killers are going after a group of friends because Ethan and Evan went after like one person at a time. But for some reason, these two clowns went after a group of friends. I want people to get when they read the story and seeing the comic is I was like, why are they going after this group? And like what is so specific about them that they want them so badly and why? And the other question is, are these two new killers related to either Evan, or is there like a cult following, like a fan cult that's going around we don't know about, or is that something more sinister that meets the eye that's actually deeper in the lore
Yeah.
of Halloween? And
Cool.
so it's so many stuff I've put into this. That's why I'm only making a two-part story. But as I keep editing, I'm thinking it might become a trilogy because there is a lot that I actually thought I didn't think about at first when I first was writing it. So I'm debating. I was like, it might be a trilogy, but right now I'm sticking to a two-parter for right now. But it's
That's
possible it might be a trilogy, but we'll see.
that's the cool part about publishing, doing your own work, because I've done that where I've had like a story that was going to be a 24-page story, and it ended up being I think it ended up being like 32 pages because it was like and then I've had another story that was going to be a one shot, and I was like, no, this is too cool. I'm going to continue it. But if you're publishing it, you can make it any amount of pages. So like when I had that 24-page story, I made it
Mm-hmm.
32. If it had continued, I would have had to made another issue of it. But I thought, well, I'm just going to make a 32-page comic. I mean, nobody can tell me no. And I don't want to cut it because I needed to tell the story, and I didn't want to just add more. Like to make it a two parter.
Yeah,
It worked out
yeah.
perfect. I mean, most of my comics, I always work it to be at least 24 pages. It can go from whatever side. It depends on the story. As I'm writing that story, sometimes it just I can't get it in 24 pages, and it may become 32 pages or 20,
Oh yeah.
28 pages. I just have to make sure it stays in a multiple of four. But
Oh yeah. Because I know so far Halloween is about the first issue is about 24 pages. These a lot of my comics that I'm writing, I keep it between 24 to 30 pages.
yeah,
Like that's like my minimum. But sometimes with the artists, they say I think that, but sometimes with my artists, depending on the artist, they think a page might need to be split into two. So 24 could turn into like 26 or 20. And so like I actually have my first graphic novel trade paperback coming later this year, called Skin Shifter. It's on them alter ego type of stories, like the movie like Split and like Unbreakable,
yeah,
and so that's I kind of got inspired by a Split when I created Jacobot. But Skin Shifter is based on my novel Jacobani, and I got inspired by the movie Split.
oh,
And but the difference is Jacobon doesn't have 24 personalities. I don't know. That is a headache to write. I'm not going to do that right now.
yeah,
But Jacobon, but the human version of Jacobon, her name is Sabrina Jackal. She's technically not human in a way, but she is human because she was born human, but she has like witch like powers from her past. But she got killed in like 1700s, I believe I put the time period in when
hmm
Jacobani got killed, and she went to hell and became like the slave of the prince of hell called the Corpus Fiend. And so in modern day, the Corpus Fiend sends Jacobani, Sabrina Jackal, to capture a soul of Maya Fitzgerald. And so in that story, you're trying to figure out why does he want her so freaking badly, but every time he tries to get her, he it doesn't work out. It's because he's been trying to get her for years. So you're like, so that's the story. It's like, what is the story between Amaya and this freaking Corpus Fiend? And dude, that's one of my other favorite stories I've written so far. Um, that's gonna be my first trade paperback, and I'm excited for it. In production, um, I think I think it's gonna be about 90 pages long. It could be more depending on if pages need to be split.
yeah,
But right now, the target about 90 to I was like 90 to 100 pages, perhaps. Just depends on the artist if she may need to split some stuff up.
yeah,
But I'm excited for that. Todd Rayner is doing a variant cover for Skin Shifter, so this is my first time ever doing a variant cover of something. At first, I wasn't interested in variants, but I see a lot of people do it, and apparently it sells. So I'm like, I'm gonna try it out and see how it goes.
yeah. I have a couple
See
variants for
what meets.
Akemi.
Oh,
So you almost
nice.
have to when you do a crowdfunder now. You almost have to do a few variants. I did a Kickstarter for Alma, my comic Alma, but I did too many variants because at the end of the day, I had just like one or two people would bought some of them, but I had to print enough to, it cost so much just to print, basically a couple
That's true.
copies. So I
Yeah.
kept it at three copies, or three variant covers for Akemi. I was like, I'm not doing like I think I had like 8 variant covers or something, you know. So I was like, yeah, that was
Oh
just too
wow.
many, you know. There's a couple of them that did really well, but there was just too
Yeah,
many
yeah.
for people to go for. So I'm doing 3 this time, and hoping that doesn't get that at least will help the sales to an extent.
Man, yeah, I'm only doing one variant for Skin Shifter. It has to test the waters and see if that'll be if you don't want to be interested in it.
Yeah.
Um, and and I will give a tease saying when Todd showed me the sketch of the variant cover, he knows I'm a crazy Evil Dead fan,
Hmm.
so the variant cover is kind of paying homage to an Evil Dead cover. I can't wait to get
Okay.
it. Can't wait to print it. It looks so friggin' I continue to yap. I don't really talk too much, but I love talking to people now. But uh, how long have you been in comics, and what made you like get into comics? Did you like grow up reading comics yourself?
I've been in comics forever, for a long time. I'm old, so I actually back in the '90s is when I first started like getting published. Back not long after
Uh,
when the direct markets started, when like there was a lot of new companies like First Comics, Eclipse Comics, Pacific,
yeah, yeah.
Fantagraphics, all those publishers started, and so I've done work for Fantagraphics. I've done Innovation, Malibu, Kitchen Sink, Caliber. So back in the day, I had a lot of little stories in different comics. Innovation, the publisher was doing. They adapted the TV show Quantum Leap, not the new one, but the original version of Quantum Leap. And I actually
Oh,
did the
nice.
Christmas issue of Quantum Leap for them. I had
Mm.
Sam jump into Santa Claus. So uh, that was a lot of fun. So
Wow.
now I still do. I still work for some different publishers. Like I've done some work for Antarctica Press. Been done. I've done. There's a company called It's Alive Comics. I did some work for them. I actually just signed a contract with Source Point Press to do a trade with them. So I
Let's
do most of my work
go.
has been self-published. Lately, through Diebold.
Yeah.
But I'm not above. I mean, if I can sell something to a publisher and they'll print it and take all that cost off of my shoulders, I'm cool with that. So I've got about through Diebold right now. I think I've got close to about 30 comics in my library of books that I've done.
That you
So
wrote yourself.
and I do a little of everything. I write horror, science fiction, slice of
Heck
life.
yeah.
I don't, I get bored if I was just doing one type of comic. I like to, write all sorts of stuff.
There's
Uh,
someone that understands me because even though I write horror and fantasy, I'm challenging my writing to like write dramas and comedy and romance. Cause I
yeah,
don't because I don't want because I don't want to be like one footnote, like being
mhm,
stuck in like one area. And that's
yeah,
also why I plan to build multiple companies because I don't want to just be publishing. I also want to do retail. I also
yeah,
want to do hospitality type of company. And I also make my own drinks too, so I'm getting into that field as well.
okay,
'Cause my brain goes, I have so many ideas. I want to spread it out into different avenues. I'm like, I don't want
yeah,
to just write. I don't want to just write. I want to write books, but I also want to create other stuff outside of books.
yeah,
And also potentially, I don't know how this, but I have a goal like potentially it's going to grow big because I have goals and I'm not going to stop. And someday I hope to open up jobs for people because that's all I love. I mean, because I enjoy helping people. That's why I started doing all of this. And I have a passion of I'm like I want to potentially help get people off the street somehow, like give them jobs and help build their life up as I build mine.
hmm,
Because I want everyone to grow. I want everyone to be able to live and just have a beautiful, peaceful life. I'm like, I know we have ups and downs, but there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And I just want to be able to build a platform and build to a position where I can help people because there's so many people are like homeless that's not getting the help they deserve, like, that they need. Like I don't want to just put them in a hotel somewhere. I actually want to help them get off their feet because hotel is temporary. And plus, some they probably not, they go and trash that hotel, so that could be a liability thing. I was like, but plus they need the mental help as well.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause everything is not just about the physical. They need that mental stability. They need that that spiritual guidance. Like,
Hmm.
it takes a lot of things to do try to help somebody. So that's why at some point, I plan on doing like my own nonprofit, to start, to build nonprofit to help others, have a better life. I love like growing up watching my sister. She did like these different type of soup kitchens, like they call it, like, what they do, basically feed the community, give clothes and like give shoes and like I got inspired by that. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to like partner up with like company like Make-A-Wish, like for kids. Just I'm like, I want to donate comic books to kids to get kids reading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
to explore their imagination, like even not just kids but also adults. Like, can we get off media for a while and just read and just explore our own imaginations, build our own creativity? And that's why I got into comics and writing my own novels, and I even write my own magazine too.
Hmm.
And and someone actually writes articles for my magazine, about like you have business articles. I also have comics in the magazine. I have mental health articles, and so I call it a lifestyle horror magazine because lifestyle, you have mental health, you have business, and then the horror comics, and then some fantasy comics and science fiction comics. So I try to balance out that magazine. I'm like, not only I want to entertain you, I want to bring awareness to this because this is happening in real life, but also entertain you to make sure you have fun and have that balance.
Yeah.
And so this is why I get yelled at for not sleeping, because my mind just goes and goes and goes, and seeing everything that's happening in the world, especially in our industry with this AI and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
just like, ugh. It's like, really, guys? And then I got tired of the Hollywood rehashes. I was like, from reboot to reboot, like you said, the original concept, not the new one. I'm like, reboot. I was like, I never
Yeah.
saw the rebooted one. It didn't look interesting to me whatsoever. And then like the constant rehashes of, let's say Star Trek. It's like, just ended already because dude, it's like it's really got annoying. I was like, the Disney live actions. I'm like, I love a few of them, but I'm like, not everything needs to be a live action. And just to continue rehashes of like, even they brought back the Mummy. I was like, they made a new Mummy, but then they bring back the original people for a Mummy 4. And I was like, even though I wanted another one with these two, I really think it's like it's too late now. I'm not sure if you're a fan of the Mummy with Brendan Fraser and Rachel.
I, I seen it when it first came out. I was never really a big fan of it, but I remember seeing when it first came out. I remember
Fair,
seeing it in the theater.
fair, yeah, that's fair. And I was like, now they have a fourth one coming out, coming out with Brendan and Rachel again. I was like, the third one sucked. That's why no one talks about it. Um, Dude, but yeah, that's and when I got to a point, I was like, why am I trying to wait on somebody to do a story when I can just create my own universe of stories? And it's like I'm not like plus I have more freedom because I'm not being micromanaged by a studio because I am my own studio. So that's why I started my own company. And and it's been growing, and I'm blessed it's been growing because I just published 3 people in my company so far. I publish their novels and I print for them, and it's been truly a blessing because they're helping me bring my dream to life of helping others,
Hmm.
bring their stories out too. And man, but yes, congratulations on the new contract. I followed, what's it called? What's the press called again?
The Source Point
Thank you.
Press.
Sorry, Press. There you go. Yeah, I follow them on Facebook. Because I know another friend of mine. I call them the best Fox Studios. Nendor Fox. He signed a contract for his graphic novel, I think they look pretty cool, and
Yeah, they've been around. They've
I've
been
seen the
around for a
stuff.
little while, so they actually
Yeah,
have kind of revised. They used to publish like single issue comics, but now all they do is publish trades. They had some
that's actually
issues, and I
really
think they almost went
interesting.
out of business, and they kind of restructured their whole plan, and now they're doing pretty well from what I see.
Wow, that's actually really interesting. They went from single issue to a straight up trade backs. That's really, I was like, but then when you think about it, printing a trade back is actually more printing cost effective.
Yeah.
I actually realized that. So that was very strategic, and I'm actually as I keep going, I might end up doing that myself because printing paperbacks actually does lower the cost
Well,
of printing a little bit
yeah, and trades
compared to a
sell
single
pretty,
issue.
because I've got a few of my books, that I've made enough copies, issues of that I've put in trade, and trades. I'm surprised how well trades sell at conventions and stuff over the single issues. I mean,
Really?
I've sold some trades, where people have never even read the
Huh.
book, but they'll be like, "Oh, let me just buy the trade off of it." So, uh, I don't know. I guess they figure they get a whole story in it. They can
True.
read it instead of buying one issue, and then especially unless they want to buy all the issues of that's in the trade. If they
Uh,
buy one or two issues, then they might not be able to find the other issues or whatever. Trades, they don't they sell well enough that and especially they're a little more expensive than a single issue. Of course they cost
true,
a little more to
true.
print too, but I think
And
overall the
they
price.
take a little bit longer to do in production too. So yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, trades are that's my goal. If I can get whatever I get, like when we do Akimi, we're writing in like 4 issue arcs. So after the first 4 issues, we can put it in a trade and then go to the next issue, and start do another 4 issues. So it seems
No, that
like
was
people
as
people
well.
have liked.
You actually answered my next question. Is how long you want to do a kimi? So you answered my question.
I want to do it as long as it lasts. Like I said, we want to do it in 4 issue arcs. And if we do the first 4 issues and then nobody, buys it, then we won't do it anymore. But if it does, we'll go to issue 5 to 8, and we'll do a trade of it. But I think we need I think having it where we can say, hey, we're going to have a 4 issue arc isn't so overwhelming because a lot of people aren't going to want to, especially for an indie publisher, they want to pick up that first issue. If I say, "Oh, what's going on for 100 issues," and they're going to be like, "Yeah, sure it is." I don't want to start something that has no ending to it. But so at least if they know the first 4 issues is going to tell some type of story and it'll have some type of conclusion to an extent, they know okay that's a little more manageable. That's something we can look at than having something that has no end in sight. And then if they like that and it goes well, we'll do another one. We'll do 4 issues or whatever, and we'll just I can keep doing this. I mean I've since we've started this, I've really just this book, this character. I think a lot of it has to do with Jorge's art too. His art just blew me away on that character. It wasn't anything like I was thought of when I created the character, but his art is just so good. I mean, he's captured those characters so well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, dude. Akimi looks freaking beautiful, and I want to remind people, find my comic. Akimi is in the link. I mean, the link is in the description of this video as we're talking. Go back and I'll find my comic. Dude, it looks beautiful. Um, and I gotta ask, how did you come up with your comic name, Die Bold Comics? That's still
Actually,
such a freaking crazy, awesome name. I want like
back
seriously,
in
how
the
did you come up with
'90s,
that?
back in the, like at the end of the '90s, I self-published a comic. It was my first self-published comic, and it was called Diebold, but it was one word, and
Wow.
it's a
Oh wow.
fantasy kind of a humorous fantasy story. It's the main character is Ed the Talking Head. He's a head on a stick, and we did 2 issues of it,
That on the stick.
and
Interesting.
then when I came back and started doing stuff like in the 2000s when I was writing stuff, for a long time I was just putting stuff out. There was no brand on it. The only brand on it was my name. But then I started thinking that I need a brand. I need something where I can, like an umbrella to put everything under. So I was
Mm.
trying to, I was kept trying to come up with a cool comic book publishing name. I kept going like, what's a good name? What's it? I finally just I kept looking at Diebold and I was like, that is really a pretty cool name. You break it
It
up
really
into
is.
the three words, Diebold Comics, and it's I love it. I think the name has turned out real. I mean, it's a little you know it sounds like it's strictly a horror line, but it's not. Like I said, I publish everything, so it encompasses everything, even the besides horror stories. But it just
Mhm.
the name just worked so well for me. So yeah,
Dude,
and it's
I'm gonna have to
actually
cop a I'm gonna have to cop that shirt because I want that shirt now.
it's actually the name came from a friend. There's this girl that I was really good friends with
Mm.
years and years ago, and her last name was Diebold. And I always thought that would be such a cool name for a character, Diebold. And even
Wow.
after like I haven't talked to her, I hadn't, we just kind of she moved one place, I moved, we just kind of grew apart. And I always thought that name was going to be so cool. And I was like, the first chance I got, like I said, it was in the original comic. Diebold was the name of the city. It was called Diebold, and it was like more of a humorous fantasy story. And but now I've kind of turned it more into a little of a serious name to it. So
Oh my God, that is freaking fantastic. Also, I don't want to hold you too long. But I want to do this thing where I got inspired by another podcast that he does this, where he asks his guests, what's like the three things that you're thankful for? Because I'm always about thanks and being grateful. Like, what's your like three things that you're very thankful for?
three things that I'm thankful for. I guess my
Yeah,
health. Uh, I'm thankful that my sister's health is getting better. That it's
awesome.
stable because, like I said, I'm her caretaker. My mom passed away a couple of years ago, and she lived with my
Right.
mom, and now she lives with me. But she's doing really well. So that's
Awesome, dude.
probably the number one thing I'm thankful for, and I'm thankful that I get
Heck yeah,
to
dude.
create and write. And this is I'm retired now. I worked in retail for 50 plus years. So I've retired.
Wow.
So this is if you want to say this is my job, it really don't bring in enough income that I can call it a job yet. But this is what I like to do. And I'll be doing this till they pry the pencil out of my hands, even if I'm not making money. Because I love writing, I love creating, and and I got the
Heck yeah.
opportunity. So yeah, so I would say those are probably the big three things I'm thankful for.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, I love creating so much, from writing to retail, because I mentioned my clothing brand. Um, like, but I'm thankful for family, for my health, and being able to create as well. And just, I'm just grateful to be alive and just be able to breathe and produce and just bring more creativity and originality to the world because honestly, we need that right now because that's as you can see, there's too much going on. I was like, I want to get people laughing sometimes and like having some fun and just being comfortable in their skin, just being themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Yeah,
but
and I've had too many friends and
what's
people. I'm sorry, but I was going to say I've had too many friends and people that I know who are sick or have died, or So I feel honestly, I feel better now than when from 20 years ago. I mean, yeah, I mean, I may
heck
not
yeah,
be able to get out there and run as fast or jump as high, but
mm,
overall, my health, I feel good. I wake up better.
heck yeah,
I don't, and a part of it I think is not having to deal with that, daily grind of going to work every day and and things like that. But I just it's a different feeling.
heck yeah, dude. And what's where can we follow you on socials and we can keep up to date on what your projects are you doing?
Probably the best spot is on Substack. I have a Substack now that I've had for about a year, and it's jholland.substack.com. I write like I put talk about comics on there. I write about the creating comics. I write about stuff besides comics on there too. I just did 12 posts on there because we just had the 20th anniversary of I can't even talk Katrina, recently. And I was in this area when Katrina came through. I live outside of New
Oh my
Orleans,
God.
and I went through Katrina. I mean, now I didn't have any big horror stories like my house didn't get destroyed, and I wasn't in the, like
Yeah.
downtown New Orleans. But I did at the time when Katrina was going on. I was writing a blog, and I wrote like daily, like, okay, this is what happened today. This is what. So I basically reprinted all those posts on my Substack. So my Substack is a spot, a place for me to write anything. It's not just it doesn't. I mean, it's mainly my comics, and it's mainly geared for my comics. But it's I write everything. Like I said, I do a lot of posts about creating comics. The act of creation. I wrote a little digest book about Alma the script, which basically showed how to write a script in comics. I used an example of my script for Alma. Because a lot of people when I go to conventions, one of the two biggest questions I think as a creator you probably get is one, where do you get your ideas?
Yep.
And that was I wrote this whole little book about where I get ideas from. You know, uh,
Wow.
and
I
then
might do that. I never thought about
and
that. I
then
might do that
I
actually.
did this one is Alma the script. This is how to write a script. This was I basically showed my script, and I write longhand first, and then I take that and transfer into the computer. So I actually made copies of my handwritten script, which has all the scratches and all that, and put in there too. So it gives people, there's no right or wrong way to write a script. You write a script however works best for you. But a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
people, when they begin, I mean, when I started, I would have killed for how to write a script. I just started. I had to figure it out on my own. There was no back in that day there wasn't a lot of how to books and things like that. And
Right.
I like those type of things. I like to know how the sausage is made. I want to see how people create stuff and what they do. Because sometimes I look at something and I go, oh, that's a cool idea. Maybe I'm doing this the wrong way. I should do it this way and make it easier or something. So I just everything that's in those books were in my Substack first. So that Substack is kind of a combination of everything, and I have no paywall in the Substack. I don't. You don't have to pay to see like the creation parts of stuff. Now I do offer a paid subscription if you want to help me out, but you're going to see everything regardless. If I don't have a paywall. I didn't figure I'm not a big enough name. I can't put stuff behind that paywall, and people are gonna be like, oh, I have to see that. And plus, I started to do it like that, and I'm like, well, what do I put behind the paywall? I'd rather just let people see everything. And if they like what they see, and they want to help, like they could subscribe $5 a month or whatever. That's fine, but they can see it regardless. Like when I'm putting out a new comic, I'll usually write about how I created the comic or where it's coming from, things like that. So yeah, the Substack has worked out really well for me because I've tried websites, I've tried a Patreon, I've tried, and I just everything I get, it just doesn't seem to work, and I move on from it. So I started the Substack, and it seems to be, we'll see 5 years from now if I'm still doing it, but it seems to be working. It seems to be the best source of kind of keeping everything together.
Heck yeah,
And you can
dude.
find all my work on Global Comics, the digital site.
Nice,
Uh,
nice.
I
Yeah.
put
Yeah, I got my stuff
I
up
don't
there
have
too.
everything
Yeah,
up
yeah,
there
yeah.
yet. I'm in the process of putting everything up there. So you can go to Global Comics and buy, digital copies of everything. I was with Global
Heck
Comics
yes.
before they got DC and Marvel, and back when it was just a bunch of indie, you know,
Oh
publishers,
man.
and they've grown really
Yeah.
big since, But and I'm on Facebook, I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Threads, I'm on LinkedIn. If there's a social media, I'm probably on it, either through Diebold Comics or through my name. You can find, just you have to be to get stuff out there. I post if I post something new, I post it on all the social media and just get out. Instagram I'm on, so sometimes it's a full time job just trying to keep up with posting stuff.
Yes, you're not wrong. You are not wrong there, my good sir. Um, but you can I'm Kevin Davis. You can find me on Facebook at I am Kevin Davis CEO. Instagram, I am Kevin Davis Official. And also on Instagram is at Kevysie and Kevysie.com. You can which is my website. And also, dang it, and also YouTube. Kevysie, Jesus Christ. See, so much stuff I have to plug in, just but they're all in a link in the description of this video. Again, go back, Akimi on Fund My Comic, link in the description. Let's share it. Let's get his book funded and printed. Support indie guys, and let's continue to bring storytelling to life. Mr. John Holland, not related to Tom Holland.
Nope, I'm
Thank you.
sure I would. I'd have a good way. I'd be able to, publish my books. I have a good way to fund my books if I did. It was.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me, man. I'm going to cop that shirt. Where can I cop it, actually? Is it on your website? Well, where can we cop your shirt? Because I really want a shirt, honestly. I'll be honest.
Well, I had it on my website. I don't know if I do or not. I'll let you know. I will let you know.
Okay, okay.
I'll text you
And
because
when
I'm
he
not
lets
sure
me
how
know,
many I
guys, I'll
have.
let you guys know so we all can get a shirt.
Okay, cool. I appreciate it.
So, thank you for coming on. And this
Thank
has
you.
been an episode of Kevysie Podcast, and we will catch you guys around.
All right. Thank you.